Okay. Wait a second, that wasn't the whole thing, was it? I mean, that could have been a whole game all by itself, but I was pretty sure that this game actually contains all 3 games. I don't even know. Well, assuming that this is the end, I'm gonna have my final thoughts here. Awesome representation. You know, it's just a perfect parody in my opinion. Great sense of humor, takes things in its own direction. You play in ways that really feel significant, and it's just awesome. I really appreciated the job that they did, and in a lot of ways I actually learned things about Lord of the Rings that I hadn't thought of before, such as the use of some lines and some things I noticed with the subtitles that I hadn't noticed before. Yeah, it really helps me appreciate Lord of the Rings. And assuming that this is like the actual end of this game, and this isn't some kind of interlude between the first part and the second and third parts, because this looks like the end of the game to me, and it sure has been long enough to be a full game. Although if it's a full game, I mean, if it's only for the Fellowship of the Ring, then why isn't it called Lego Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring? Why is it just called Lego Lord of the Rings if this is only part 1 of 3? I don't know. But regardless, really had a great time with this. I'm a little uncomfortable just because I'm stooped trying to play with a controller and talking to my microphone and looking at the screen and everything, but that's not the game's fault at all. Lots of side stuff I can see that could be done. Yeah, this can't be the end because I've only got about half of the characters unlocked, although granted some of that stuff could be due to me not really straying off the beaten path too much. So, I don't know. Look at that awesome art in the background. They just did fantastic with the sets, and yeah, once again, I really like the Lego caricatures and the style that they went with that. Really looking forward to The Hobbit. I've heard some reviews, so okay, a little bit of spoilers here, maybe, I don't know, but this isn't really spoilers of the plot or anything, but I've heard that the Hobbit movie coming out is kind of maybe a little too long, a little too slow. They did, after all, take one book that's shorter than all the 3 Lord of the Rings books and turn it, the single book, into 3 movies just as long as each of the Lord of the Rings movies. So you'd think that there might be a lot of just kind of stretching things out, but I presume that all that space will be filled with important stuff. So even if it's going slow, I mean, you can expect things to go kind of slow at times in Lord of the Rings. That's just the way Lord of the Rings is. There's just a lot of things to dwell on and a lot of things to see and a lot of things to do. So I always felt like Lord of the Rings deserved the amount of time that it took movie-wise, even though each movie was like 2 to 3 hours, and the extended editions may have even been longer than that. I don't know offhand, but in spite of that, I always felt like it was worthwhile. But I really hope that The Hobbit uses that kind of time it has for good purposes, and it doesn't actually just pad things out to make a trilogy that's equally as long as Lord of the Rings for no good reason, except for just to keep the people waiting in their chairs in their seats at the theater for longer, because no one wants to be bored by extended stuff. But I'm thinking, though, it may be that with the first Hobbit movie, people have forgotten how slow Lord of the Rings itself could be at times. Like, I mentioned here how much stuff was cut out between us leaving Moria, and then all of a sudden we're immediately at Lothlorien, just like that, and then all of a sudden we're immediately on the way to whatever that last area was, where the Fellowship broke up, and everything's just quickly, like, place to place, go. And that's what it's like if you cut out all the fat, and that the story still got across just fine. All the rest is basically quote-unquote filler, because if you could tell the story with just what was told here in Lego Lord of the Rings, then that's really all that's necessary. And they still went into lots of side things as well, so yeah, so the point is that the original Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, was kind of long as well, and could get very slow in places, such as the stuff that was cut out here. And maybe The Hobbit does the exact same thing, but it's been, 10 years since people have seen a Lord of the Rings film in theaters. So maybe it was just as long and just as kind of slow for people when they first saw Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, but they've just forgotten over time how slow it is, and they've been so used to the Lord of the Rings trilogy that they don't think as much about how long it is and how tough it can be to sit through. I know that I've tried to sit down and watch my extended Lord of the Rings movies more than once, and I'm kind of sick of the Fellowship of the Ring, to be honest. I just can't sit through it because I've seen it so many times, I know it by heart, and it's so long. Now, I don't know The Two Towers quite as well, although I still know it fairly well, and The Return of the King I've only seen maybe 2 or 3 times, so I don't know that one nearly as well. I guess just because we got like a DVD for each of them as they came out, so you'd see the earlier ones, the older ones, a lot more than the later ones, and that's just kind of how it goes. But in any case, I just am way more used to the older ones as opposed to the newer ones. And I'm thinking that maybe when The Hobbit, all 3 movies come out as a trilogy. The 3 movies, by the way, are, the first one is Unexpected Journey, then the second one is The Dissolution of Smaug, then the third one is There and Back Again. And when those 3 come out in a trilogy, I'm betting that people won't really think of them, the individual ones, as particularly boring or outstandingly dull or excessive or anything, because they'll be so used to it at that point that it won't come off as strange anymore. At least that's my assumption and kind of my hope. And this is me rambling on as I'm trying not to talk about the fact that I've run out of things to talk about, and yet the credits are still rolling. I recently saw a commercial for this game on television, just today in fact, and I know that there were scenes that I saw that I thought were from later movies. I was pretty sure that there was stuff there that wasn't just from the Fellowship of the Ring. By the way, I love this music right here. I hope I don't get in trouble by posting this on YouTube. If this was Star Wars, I'd totally be in trouble for posting something with a music like this. Yeah. Awesome, awesome music. One of the best parts. Anyway, yeah, so I could have sworn that there was stuff that was from later Lord of the Rings films that I saw, like stuff from Minas Tirith and Rohan, I thought, and maybe I saw some Ents or something. I guess I don't remember exactly, but I was almost certain that there was some major battle stuff, like from the Two Towers or maybe from Return of the King. Could have sworn that it wasn't just stuff from Fellowship of the Ring itself. Maybe this is like a 3-part game and only the first part has been released yet, or maybe only the first part has been released on Steam. I don't know. So I guess I'll find out very soon. It's really pointless for me to be asking this aloud. I'm going to find out right now.